clean up their ships, right? And I think this is a great opportunity for all of us if we work together collectively. So that's my key message for this. So that the economic goal should drive all of us to work together, whether the private companies or robotic company, or the ship owners, operators, agents, we all have a role to play, especially also how we want to look at it safely. Monitor them, we can also make sure that this impact to the environment. Last year, you have seen a lot, unfortunately, some incident of oil spills that happens in the Singapore port waters. We are trying our best to make sure we have the cooperation and working together in the industry to prevent such incident from happening. Startup. So among us today, we also have VCs. We have startup. We have companies who are electrifying the hover car. So many areas that the industry and the startup are working on. So how do we work together to get such solution out to the ship owners, the operators, making it for the divers to be safer, more efficient, and also more transparent. Sophisticated, become remote operation, then their career also can be growing together with your company. So I think besides research, working with these universities and schools also have this element of working the next generation of workforce into the income. So I thought of using this few slides just to kick off this section.
We started moving away from this in maybe 2014. I think 2014 MPA did the first trial cleaning using ROVs, if I recall. So this piqued our interest, and from that time onwards we have been trying to balance between using divers and robotic applications for hull cleaning. What we found is that when we use divers, there is no control on the hull cleaning. They use circular pressure, they use any medium, and the focus is on getting the debris out or the hull smooth. They don't care for your anti-fouling paint. So naturally, along with the fouling, they take away your anti-fouling also. And that causes actually an acceleration in the fouling. So it's a vicious circle, and that's one of the reasons we started going towards robotic cleaning, because it's a more controlled way to clean. It's also, it can be done not necessarily in port. So the kind of solutions we use today, we actually deploy on the ship, and we can do a hull cleaning anytime, at any place, even deep sea, when the ship is moving also. And it has proven to be very effective, especially today. The cost is not just for the extra fuel that is wasted today. So anywhere from 10 to 12 tons are consumed excessively in ships which have hull fouling, which is a real waste of fuel, and also an increase on the carbon emissions. On the ship owner, so we are a third-party ship manager. So for ship owners, we see it translates into more carbon tax paid by them, which is not a desirable thing at all. So the reason to go towards robotic cleaning is that you can actually have a concept which we call as hull grooming, which starts soon after dry docking, where the hull is good, it's clean, and if you keep monitoring. So the problem is that you can't clean the hull without inspecting it. Today, average cost in Singapore, a hull inspection could cost you about 5,000, maybe less. Cleaning goes up to 15,000, 20,000, depends on the time and the number of divers. There is, of course, the human element. We have had some very unfortunate incidents with divers losing their lives. So that is another factor, and the restrictions imposed by physical manual divers, which is the time of day. You can only do it in daylight. There is the surface current, the water turbidity, etc., etc. Robotic cleaning does not require any of this. You can do it anytime, any place, in a controlled way. You can have a record of the hull cleaning, hull inspections, uploaded to the iCloud or cloud services. Essentially, which is not possible in divers. You have to wait for divers. Because robotic cleaning, you don't need to be trained. So there is a clear move in our minds at least, and even for our owners, to use robotic solutions. And then we can talk more about that.
It's like the third area in the problem, yeah. So we do need diversity. And also the cost is quite elevated. So it's not as costly as diverse, although if there's something to do, it's better to go with the state solution, even if it's more expensive. Yeah, and also we need to make sure that we have the approval from the manufacturers to be able to bring the calories. We need as owners to know that the anti-fouling guarantee is still in there, even if the affordability lies some novel technology.
Talk around during the next topic. Those are the challenges we face as a small hovercraft operator in Singapore. A robot cannot do what a human does. So maybe what we're looking for, we should look for is a mix of robotic house cleaning with a human operator who's sort of monitoring every little part of the house while the robot goes around cleaning, checking the paint, etc. That's the challenge we face. And probably the next step is just getting sufficient volume of robotic house cleaning devices. Because a lot of the time we need action within the next 1 hour, 2 hours. And nothing beats calling up 5 divers in one day says, okay, I'm available, I can go down now. Having said that, I agree that diving is not the safest. Right? If we can remove that risk away from this part of our business, yes, I'm all for it. But we do need to address all parts of the hull, not just the cleaning portion.
In ROVs for a number of years now. There's nothing that's ticked all the boxes, but I think with the advancement of ROVs and a couple of new companies that have started up in Singapore, I'm looking at maybe do we invest or do we come to some sort of a joint venture with them? And when we have ROV work, we pass it to them. We let the client know we're using an ROV by this company, or we're going to do it by divers. I run a diving company. I like to put divers in the water, but I can see that the advantages of having an ROV, and I'm very open to working with any company that has a good. We have used an ROV company, and it's never really been that successful. Either it breaks down or what. There's always been some reason why they haven't. At the end of the 22 hours, said we've completed the job. So then we have to go back and explain to the owner A, B, and C. You know, with the divers, they don't break down. They get tired, but then they get replaced. And there's so many more advantages with the diver doing, each areas and all the rest of it. But there's huge advantages. Now we can't put divers in the container port, which we did for many years. Okay, so the ROV companies, this is where they can step in.
Anti-fouling, but at the same time, if the fouling is too much, like in barnacles, where when you remove it, the paint will definitely have to come off. But then when the cleaning is not up to expectations, then there's this discussion that may be a bit of time-consuming and unnecessary. So is there a misalignment in expectations?
Okay, so maybe some of the companies will tell you that actually in the cleaning process, none of the paint will fall off, but that's for him to attest. I'll add a panel about it.
Sure. So I can answer that quickly. We have to set the expectations of owners. So today there is no doubt what you said is right. When you clean, you will take off the anti-fouling. So when you take off anti-fouling, it matters how much you have taken off, because that determines how soon the hull will get fouled again, right? So if you take away less anti-fouling, then you have still residual anti-fouling which continues to work.
It's fantastic to have it based on what you do in testing, but when it goes out into the real playing field, it's very, very different. And then you get designated anchorages maybe 6 hours before coming, depending on the traffic and the density of the anchorages and what's happening at the anchorages. You can go to a totally different anchorage. If you go to near Changi, it's a much stronger current flow around there than when you have it in Alpha. So these are considerations which need to be put in robotics, because the robot needs to perform in this kind of thing. So